This is the Tom Bigby Tales, and I'm your host, Shannon Evans. I write about a small town in northeast Mississippi on the Tom Bigby River called Columbus. Sometimes I write about the rest of the state. This episode is about the Tennessee Williams Building and the catastrophic mess it's currently in. The current renovation project under an MDAH grant, Mississippi Department of Archives and History, and Prior Morrow Architects has ground to a complete halt at the Tennessee Williams Home and Visitor Center of Columbus. The Tennessee Williams Home has been closed to the public since mid-April for porch and pier repairs and some cosmetic paint and plaster work under a $200,000 grant with alleged matching funds from the city of Columbus. The grant, the bulk of it coming from MDAH. The last major renovations on the building were completed in 2010. Carpenter took over the reins and management of the building soon after when she rose to the leadership at the Columbus Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Columbus Lounge Convention and Visitors Bureau, also called the CVB. Soon after she did, and she began to ignore certain key issues that had been noted by visitors and board members of the CVB, the previous managers of the home. The porch required major repairs as recently as 2014, but Carpenter put off any work until the porch required significant repairs due to pier sinking, beams rotting, etc. And that was about 2017, 2018. At that point, a grant was written and obtained for about $40,000 to repair and replace the porch, and the grant was awarded from the Mississippi Department of Archives and History, the MDAH. However, the work was delayed and delayed and delayed by Carpenter for various reasons. Then work was delayed again for 2+ years due to COVID. 3 years of deferrals later, and Carpenter submits a questionable and drastically incomplete grant application, missing critical elements like photos and engineer and architect's reports, and was granted a $200,000 grant from the MDAH to fix that porch, some plaster and paint, and a few other items. That work began in April of this year and now has ground to a complete halt not 2 months later. Why? Because the beams and joists under the building are rotting, and the house now requires allegedly $190,000 more dollars on top of the already $200,000 plus dollars. How was this significant issue missed by architects, Pryor and Morrow, when the initial survey of the building was conducted for the grant application to MDAH for the original roughly around $230,000? For the building to be this dire, it had to be neglected and ignored by its stewards, Nancy Carpenter. And that neglect had to have been going on for many years. In order for the current grant to be submitted, a significant building survey had to be submitted by Carpenter as part of that grant, and it had to include either engineering or architectural surveys analyzing the issues related to the building. Tom Bigby Tales reported in an earlier 2 episodes about concerns over the incomplete and shoddy grant application that Carpenter submitted, and how cronyism at the MDAH was clearly at play. Carpenter is a long-time 10+ year member of the MDAH grant that provided this current grant for the building. She is also the vice president of that organization. See the episodes dated January 23rd, Where is the Tennessee Williams Welcome Center renovation dollars coming from? And January 24th, titled MDAH Grant Particulars, for more in-depth details on the grant requirements and my serious concerns about conflict of interest issues between Carpenter and the MDAH and her position as vice president of that board. The conflict of interest there is glaring. Fast forward to tomorrow. The MDAH is sending a team of trustees, her fellow board members, and internal people to the Tennessee Williams to figure out next steps. Why? Well, is it to cover their earlier mess of allowing a shoddily prepared grant from Carpenter with no guaranteed match grant through their process? Do they really care about this historic building? Or they just care about covering Nancy's mess up so it doesn't reflect badly on them? Does Carpenter's board know about the latest fiasco with the renovations? Meaning her board at the Columbus Cultural and Historic Foundation for the Tennessee Williams Building. Do they know they need at least $190K more dollars to make any repairs? Does the city of Columbus know the iconic building is in dire straits? Does the city engineer, the inspector, or preservation board know? Has Carpenter informed the mayor, the CVB, the Link, or any of her other partners? We know the Columbus Cultural Heritage Foundation has no money of its own. It has done zero fundraising or grant writing this year beyond the MDAH grant that they currently have been awarded. How do they plan to fund any additional repairs? Does MDOT, the secondary owners of the building, even know about this current problem? How does Nancy Luke Carpenter think she can perform a Christmas miracle in absolute secrecy to deal with the current problems with this building? Why does Columbus continue to let the Queen of Incompetence continue as the director of its iconic Tennessee Williams building? If the CVB board, who currently provides all operational funding for the Tennessee Williams budget, were smart, as soon as it finds out about this latest fiasco, it would revoke all funding going forward unless Carpenter is removed by the Columbus Cultural Heritage Foundation board and their director, as their director. The CVB should take back the Tennessee Williams building, dissolve the Columbus Cultural Heritage Board, and operate the building as the CVB's welcome center, as it should be for this town. Carpenter continues to rise to the level of her incompetence yet once more. I want to thank you for coming on this episode of the Tombigbee Tales and this breaking news on the Tennessee Williams building and Nancy Carpenter.